When should you hire your own VA? Guys, it's Rick in here with Flip with Rick. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button to continue to receive the absolute best information on wholesaling today on the internet. So let's talk about it. When should I hire my first VA? And it sounds like a really simple question, but actually most people get this wrong. And I'll tell you, I actually got this one wrong multiple times. VAs, if you guys don't know what it stands for, it's just a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is typically somebody that can help you out via over the computer, help you do spreadsheets, Word documents, any type of follow-up, especially on the phone, following up with sellers, with cash buyers, you name it. We are in a worldwide economy. The days of doing everything yourself, which by the way, I did everything myself when I started back in 2003, and there's no reason you have to do it. The logical step, if you're working solo, and especially if you're working by yourself with no help, is to find that ideal VA. What I'm going to do is give you my experience with dealing with it and how I would do it going forward today. Just so you all know, I'm in process of hiring multiple VAs for some new positions we created. So I'm going to share with you some of the tips and tricks I'm using to hire the VA. The rules on hiring a VA, I would typically hire a VA before you hire an acquisitions manager. So many people do it the opposite way, and I've done it that way before. The problem with an acquisition manager is their highest and best ability should be to connect and get contracts from people. You're going to find most acquisition people are absolutely terrible at paperwork. They can't do budgets. They can't do project management, getting W-9s and stuff like that. It's a complete freaking nightmare for them. I find a lot of us set our acquisitions guy or gal in the positions to do all this administrative work when honestly it can be done by what we call a VA. So number one, before you get an acquisitions person and when you start to run out of time, that's the ideal time to get a VA. Here's where everyone screws up on the VA. And by the way, I'm fully admitting I've done it myself, is the VA can only do what you tell them to do. They do not have ESP. They do not have access to all your computer files. They haven't watched you in the business the last 5 years. They are clueless. So keep in mind, they're taking a leap of faith to work with you. So you have to set it up right. So the first thing you have to do is you have to spell out your objective of what you want to accomplish with the VA. And so many people just go right into a job description and don't come up with an objective, and they don't know what they want the VA to accomplish. Here's what I find. Everyone who puts out a VA ad, including me, has done in the past, you just want your VA to do everything, all the crap you don't want to do. That's just the truth. How you put that in a job description is beyond me because that's about 500-page manual. One of my lives, I kind of showed you how working with a VA was. And as I said, they can't get in your mind. So if you were going to make a sandwich, particularly a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you have to explain how to get the bread out of the cupboard, what type of knife to use, how much peanut butter to spread on one piece, how much jelly, what type of jelly to use. And then do you cut the sandwich in half? Do you put it on a plate? Do you put it in a Ziploc bag? And you'd be surprised. It winds up being almost 40 some odd steps from start to finish making a PBJ. And you just think you just put some peanut butter and jelly on bread and smack it together. You think it's 3 steps, and actually it's 40 some odd steps. And that's the problem. You guys just explain it in 3 steps, and your VA doesn't know what to do. And then you start compiling it with stuff you think your VA knows how to do, and they have no idea how to do. And you're making giant assumptions, and you're getting upset. And then that's the problem. So number one, I want you to find the objective of what you want to get accomplished. And I would make that scope narrow as possible in the beginning because there's 2 things you have to do here. You have to vet to make sure you hired the right VA because let's face it, some VAs just aren't going to do what you hired them to do. And number 2, you got to make sure that you are not overwhelming this person, guy or gal, and you can't truly evaluate if they're doing the job right now. I like to hire people that are going to support leads, and that's where you should be focusing on that. So number 1, find out what your objective is. If it's a lead support person, just sit down there and spell all the things that they would do. If it's follow-up phone calls, are they taking incoming calls? Are they taking live calls? Are they doing pay-per-click? What is it? If you're only doing like 1 or 2 scopes of marketing right now, maybe it's direct mail and SMS or it's cold calling, is set that person up and spell out exactly how it goes. Here's the phone number. Here's where it rings. Here's how you access the phone number. And most importantly in VA is you got to figure out how to have them call back because they're typically going to be out of the country. I like anything with lead support. It has to do with database management, which is your CRM, which is your customer relations manager. And then also, if you want to add to that, you can call like a lead detective, a lead ninja. This person is to find people that you can't find phone numbers for, or they're not responding to certain types of mail, or somebody maybe that ghosted you that went away. Those people sometimes take 50 or 60 contacts. And this is where VA is absolutely just golden. I want you to understand, lead support is nothing more than them working within the database, determining how and when they talk to customers, and then finding those leads that you think have high value, but they need a lot of research. That right there, guys, can be a full-time VA, and that's what you need to focus them on doing the task. It always comes down to, oh, well, Rick, I got one that'll do it for $4 an hour. I will tell you right now, and a VA, you don't always get what you pay for. If you think $4 an hour is going to get you what you need to get done and talk to your customers and have them really running and bought in your business, you're kidding yourself. I agree. The whole VA system set up on an hourly rate is not conducive to our wholesaling environment. So, Rick, how do we deal with it? I'll tell you this right now. Don't pay someone $4 an hour. I wouldn't even pay them $6 an hour. So my average rate is $8 to $10. Remember, if they're dealing with your customers, you better make sure you have 100% of their buy-in, that you're training them, you're spending time with them. When you start it at $4, it just tells you they're going to make a ton of mistakes and it's going to be expensive. Now, if I thought paying them $15 an hour would solve it, it doesn't. A respectable wage is $7 to $8 starting out. And I like to find VAs that are vetted through some sort of service that understand what they're doing. I'm also very brutally honest with the VAs. One of my conditions are they have to be able to work on U.S. times. If they can't work on U.S. times, I don't want to deal with it. I've hired a lot of people in the Philippines that just can't. There's a 12 and a half, I think 13-hour time difference, and it's tough. So if their primary objective is to talk to your customers and do lead support, there's nothing they can do in the middle of the night to help your customers out. And you need to understand that. Number two, you have to stick to a plan with them. So the minute they ask you for a cash advance or a loan, especially in the first 90 days, unless they're doing so phenomenal for you, I would avoid it because you're going to set a precedence with it. Ask me how I know. A lot of them do it. So I tell them up front, if you need a cash advance or a loan, I'm not the guy you want to work for. And once you tell them that, they typically will try to avoid asking you it. Check their internet connectivity. Once again, I'm not picking on the Philippines, but there's a lot of countries that have rolling blackouts, and Philippines is a lot more vulnerable than a lot of other countries. It's a problem. A lot of times in the Philippines, you'll hear, a lot of these are poor countries, you'll hear chickens crowing in the background stuff. Remember, your customers will hear all this. And most importantly is you just don't want somebody with a heavy accent that you can't understand, especially if their primary job is to support your customers. So this type of person has to clearly communicate English with no issues. And that's ideally who you want to hire for like these types of jobs. So if you're going to pay them roughly $7, $8 an hour, say they work 25 hours a week, $8 an hour, that's $200 a week. So you're investing $800 a month in it. Keep in mind, if you hired somebody in the States to do that, to work in an office, it's probably going to cost you 3 times that, and you're going to get a lot more drama with it. On average, you're investing about $10,000 a year to get a quality VA. And so many of you guys just go, well, it's $7, $8 an hour, I can fire them. You need to think on how you can actually pay them more. A minimum starting is somewhere in $9,000 to $10,000 for the year. And you are going to, once you do their objective, you know what the cost of it. So many of you guys go, oh, I can't believe it's $800 a month. Trust me, it's the best $800 you'll ever spend. So once you have their budget, you got their objective set up, is you want to fill out a job description. Remember, your job's not to overwhelm them. And here's the key part on the job description. Everything you spell out, you're going to have to go ahead and get a notepad and do what we call a SOP, which is a standard operating procedure for each task. So if their job is to handle incoming direct mail, you have to teach them on how that works, how they answer the call, what their script is, what their hours are, and then how you're going to judge them on it. So when I do KPIs on my direct mail, I just simply do the percentage of how many calls were answered live, how many rolled over, how many hangups and stuff like that. And I try to give them a buy-in on that. You're probably thinking, Rick, well, how do I do it hourly if they're just doing phones? That's why you want to have them do other support tasks, follow up on your database and stuff like that. It is absolutely, think about it. If they find an extra 2, if not 3 deals in a month, don't look at it as an $800 expense. Look at it as a $30,000 gain. I want you to flip your hats and see how you do these people. Where we fail most VAs is we give them all these tasks to do, and it winds up being a wish list, and there's no standard operating procedures. They don't know what to do, and they get just as frustrated with you, and they're actually looking forward to have you fire them. Guys, find a rate that makes them pay attention and understanding you should hire a VA before you hire an acquisitions manager, because you can sort out all that back end work. By the time you get to an acquisition manager, you're looking for a person that has the gift of gab and will follow direction. You do not want them to do complicated budgets, complicated reports, because it's going to take away from their highest and best calling, which is talking to your customers. So standard operating procedures, they're a pain in the butt to write. They are long. It's 43 steps just to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can imagine what it's going to be when you have to teach them how to enter in the database. I find 2-minute screen shares work very well. You can do them for free on the internet. It's very straightforward. I would strongly encourage you to hire a VA. It will give you more time. It will duplicate your efforts in following up with customers. And once you get that VA up and running, they'll actually ramp your leads up where you'll actually be forced to bring on more acquisitions people. But if you do it the opposite way, you hire the acquisitions first before the VA, it will create some holes in your organization. And I find if you can find a good VA and work with them, guys, find a rate that works well with them, $7-8 an hour or higher, and don't have a wish list, actually have a plan, and give it time to come forward and follow up with them on your KPIs, monthly reviews. Do not let the employee get complacent. If they don't work, you can always hire another one, but learn as soon as you can and give them the time to get the job done. And it will grow your business to levels you never even knew existed. Where you go out and find VAs, you can simply go on Upwork. Guys, there's a million services out there. At the end of the day, if you can find a VA that's somewhat trained, then that's great. But just don't assume someone trains a VA for you. Make sure you follow up and do everything. That's it, guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have any tips or tricks on hiring your VAs or what you've experienced on what you're doing, let me ask you, how many of you guys out there actually have a VA, and how long have you had them for, and what are their job duties? And if we could share that all as a community, it will help us hire people. But VAs are great, guys. You don't need an office for it. They help produce more money for your bottom line, and you're not stuck and babysitting them in the office. This is the way to do it. Guys, go out and get a VA. Let me know your experiences with them. I would love to hear, and I will share mine and Zach's with you as well. Guys, this is Rick in with Flip with Rick. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit that share button, and tell me what your experience is in hiring a VA. Thanks, guys.